Whispers of the Woods Part 1. My name is Miles, and I'm not supposed to tell anyone this. I was told it could get me in trouble, or worse, but I can't keep it inside anymore. It started as a normal hiking trip, just me and my friends, Mark, Sarah, Jason, Emily, and Tom. We had planned this for weeks, a simple weekend hike through the mountains, camping under the stars, escaping reality. We had no idea what we were walking into. The trail was beautiful at first. Tall pines swayed above us, the air was crisp, and we followed a well-marked path that wound deeper into the wilderness. We laughed, took photos, and joked about scary campfire stories. As the sun set, we found a perfect clearing, set up our tents, and built a small fire. We thought we were alone, but something was watching us. We just didn't know it yet. That night, we decided to take a short walk to see the stars from a nearby ridge. That was our first mistake. The trail that had seemed so clear before was suddenly unfamiliar, like the forest had shifted while we weren't looking. The markers were missing. After an hour of walking in what should have been a straight line, we ended up back at our camp. Only, something was wrong. The fire was out, cold ash where there had been warm flames. Our gear was scattered. A tent zipper, which I knew I had closed, was open. Mark joked about a bear, but there were no tracks, no signs of any animal. Just a heavy, suffocating silence. I didn't sleep that night. None of us really did. We heard them, whispers faint but constant, circling the camp like a predator stalking its prey. I thought maybe it was the wind, but the more I listened, the more I was sure it was voices. They were speaking, but not in any language I knew. By morning, we were all on edge. We packed up and decided to head back to the main trail. But no matter which direction we took, the forest folded in on itself, guiding us in endless loops. Every path led back to camp. Each return brought new horrors, extra footprints, the smell of smoke without a fire. Our belongings moved when none of us had touched them. Fear turned to panic. We weren't just lost, we were trapped. It was Jason who finally snapped, grabbing a burning branch from our cold fire pit and shouting into the trees. "We know you're there. What do you want?" His voice cracked with fear and rage. For a long moment, the forest was silent. Then the whispers stopped, and the woods grew eerily still. Out of the fog emerged a figure, tall, gaunt, and with hollow eyes that seemed to absorb the light. It stared at us for what felt like an eternity, before slowly raising a skeletal hand and pointing beyond the trees. But this time, we didn't feel relief. We felt dread. We understood. Follow or never leave. We had no choice. We followed it, deeper into the woods, further than we had ever intended to go. The forest grew darker, colder. The ground beneath us felt wrong, like walking on bones. And then we saw it, an old ruined cabin covered in moss and half buried in the earth. The figure led us inside. The air was thick with rot. There, scratched into the walls, were names, hundreds of them, some old, some fresh, and among them, Jason found a name he recognized, his sister's. She had gone missing on a hike in these woods years ago. The moment he said her name out loud, the cabin door slammed shut. That's when the screaming started, not from us, but from somewhere below, beneath the cabin floor. The figure watched, silent and unmoving, as the floorboards cracked open and black, skeletal hands reached out, grabbing at our legs, pulling us down into the cold, wet earth. We fought, we screamed, but the forest had us. Jason was the first to be dragged under. I can still hear him calling for help. Mark grabbed a rusted, broken chair leg from the corner and swung it wildly, cracking one of the skeletal hands with a sickening snap. For a brief moment, the grip on me loosened, and I kicked myself free, hauling Mark up as I did. We didn't think. We just ran, leaping over the broken floorboards and tearing out of the cabin, the screams of our friends echoing behind us. But as we stumbled through the decaying living room, something caught my eye. A trapdoor, slightly ajar, hidden beneath a rotting rug. The screams were louder now, muffled but distinct, rising from below. I knew we should have kept running, but something compelled me to look. I yanked the trapdoor open, revealing a narrow staircase that descended into darkness. Mark tried to pull me away, but I saw them. Dozens of figures, gaunt and pale, staring up from the basement below. Their hollow eyes glowed faintly, and among them, I swear I saw Jason's sister. She whispered something I couldn't understand, but her expression was clear, pleading. Before I could react, the figures surged forward, skeletal hands reaching for me, for Mark, for anyone. The cabin groaned as if alive, the walls vibrating with a low, unnatural hum. That's when we knew. The cabin wasn't just haunted. It was a prison, and the forest was its warden. We tore through the cabin, kicking open the warped front door and stumbling back into the freezing night air, hearts pounding, lungs burning. The forest outside wasn't the same. The trees seemed taller, closer together, the air thick and cold as ice. We could hear the whispers again, rising into a furious chorus. Branches lashed at us as we ran, the ground slick and shifting beneath our feet, as though the forest itself was trying to drag us back. We ran blindly through the woods, the whispers turning into screams behind us, the forest shifting like a living thing, trying to keep us in. I don't know how we found the main trail. One moment we were running through darkness, and the next we burst into daylight, back at the edge of the parking lot. Mark and I made it out. No one believes us. They say the others must have gotten lost, that we abandoned them. But I know the truth. The forest took them. And sometimes late at night, I can still hear the whispers just outside my window. I don't know what we did, and I don't know why it's happening, but I do know something's waiting for me to come back.